Hello and welcome, everyone. Well, this is a topic that I've been working on in my connections with Gaia for a while now, and I have finally kind of collated it in a way that is useful and cohesive. So this is in regard to divine counterparts and twin flames, what they are, why they are here, what is their real role, the underpinning reason why so many of you came here to the earth at this time, and what you have come to attend to, the work that's beyond anything certainly that I have come across in this time. So welcome to this information from Gaia. And what I am going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit of an overview of some of the components of this journey, and then I'm going to speak to you about the template, so I can time stamp that later on if you watch the replay. Anyhow, let me see what I can do about where to place these notes and see the feed. That's the thing. I think I'll have to attend to the feed at the end. So the term twin flame has, in my opinion, been deliberately distorted and infiltrated, and has been made to seem fashionable, glamorous and desirable, where people are looking for their twin flame or claiming they're a twin flame or seeking that out. Personally, I do prefer the term divine counterpart, although it takes a bit longer to say. But actually, although it may well be that everyone has a twin flame, it isn't that all beings here on the earth in this incarnation have their twin flame here. So actually this connection is divinely decreed and divinely orchestrated. It is set up for this incarnation with a connection of soul and to soul back through time. So whilst everyone has a counterpart, not everyone is here in a mission of divine connection with their counterpart, with their soul aspect of self. So many times and in many previous incarnations, these souls have actually held space for one another from other dimensions. And this is not to preclude their having had lifetimes here together before this one. I've certainly seen that in my work in the Akash. But for this time on the planet, there have been many more divine counterparts or twins brought in at the same time for purpose and mission. Now, I also want to say that it doesn't make these connections or these relationships, these partnerships, more important than other relationships, other missions, and other roles. Each of us has come with our own unique divine mission, purpose, undoing, redoing our particular and unique part of the puzzle. And so twins or divine counterparts have come in to be resetting the templates around relationships. So what are twin flames or divine counterparts? This is one soul that has come to the earth in two bodies, in two polarities, the masculine and feminine energies. And this union or partnership, when it comes together, and I'll talk about some of the aspects of that, may show up in any gender combination. It may be male and female, male and male, male and, female and female. However, energetically, irrespective of gender, the energies will be held as divine masculine and divine feminine, and then one of those will be the predominant energy in each body in that coming together partnership. So they are you and you are them. And it is important to remember that all humans hold both masculine and feminine energies in the body, not just twin flames. So twin flames can and do meet in higher dimensional space and probably have lots of experiences of that in dream time or in a higher dimensional space during meditation or during flashes during the day. These amazing connections through variant of the clairs. You may hear them, you may be able to have conversation with them, you will feel moved in a way, loved in a way, or in love in a way that you never have before here on the earth. They bring in incredible energies and they are incredibly challenging. So why were these beings selected for this task? So you have been selected because of your individual and your paired strengths and experiences, and because you together hold a great chance of success in coming together in physical union. However, it's not an easy journey. It's certainly not for the faint-hearted, as anyone on this journey will attest. So what have twins come to do? Well, they've come to do a number of things, and they've come to do things on an individual level and in partnership and in groups and in templates and as a whole collective. So on an individual level, each counterpart has their own work to do. So this involves all of the work that everybody who is here is doing on the ascension path. It's healing, it's growth, it's development, and it's likely also to involve attending to the healing and undoing of family patterns, both patriarchal and matriarchal patterns, back through time, individually and collectively and together. These beings have come to override and transcend duality, to assist the collective of humanity to slide into unity, consciousness, and harmony. So that's one little part of it. Although some twins may be awakened before they meet, the meeting in the physical or the acknowledgement and knowing of meeting in the energetic realm will catalyze each twin to be triggered immensely to provoke higher growth and healing. And this often creates this push-pull dynamic, this need to run away from the intensity of the situation. So I'm just giving you a bit of an overview with this because there are a lot of readers on YouTube who can give you great information about twin flames and the dynamics and nuances of it. But I am giving you this overview to get to the new information that Gaia has brought to me to bring to you. So these feelings that arise in twins, they are beyond other experiences had on the earth plane, where everything is higher, more intense, more exaggerated, a love beyond any other. These energies that are often reverent and honouring of one another. This holding of space for one another to move into their next expanded version of self. I just need to move that off. Okay, so this individual work for each of them is this opening up for growth, for healing, for development, for coming into personal wholeness and balance, having attended to any of the issues that come up often within a child, aspects within a child dependencies. So such things as codependency, conditional love, a neediness, this idea of having reactions, strong reactions, anger, rage, all of these things that each of us go through here on the earth as we're undoing these old templates, these old wounds. And it's the same. Twins have to go through that. They have to come into this refinement and polishing as individuals in growth and wholeness and balance in and on many aspects. And it generally gets completed to a very high level, these fine nuances of self-development and growth, of authenticity and unconditional love. So this idea of learning how to come into unconditional love, of learning how to be in higher ways of relating and communicating, of huge acknowledgement of self-love, of being in a place where you are doing the work on yourself, where you are responsible for and accountable to yourself, your behaviors, your patterns, the way you run your life, the way you run, clear and clean your energetic fields. And some pairs experience several meetings in the physical, this coming and going, this meeting and moving apart to facilitate this triggering and growth. It's a bit like trial by fire in some regards. There's much higher level communication available, this ability to read one another's thoughts, to finish the construct or the sentence or the meaning, and to understand things based on just a few words. Telepathy will come, and other clairvoyance, audience, clear cognizance, telepathy may come through this connection. The other thing that comes is this level of intimacy on all levels, really. This sharing that is deeper than any other, this ability to front up in one's own absolute authenticity. All the masks get dissolved. So these connections cannot come together until much of this work is complete on an individual level. This love, it cannot be mistaken, and it's certainly difficult to forget. It's unlike any experience ever had on this dimensional plane. And so these connections have to refine everything in relationship to a higher level than others. And it is to shift the transactional level of 3D relationships to one of unconditional love. So when the individual work is done, then the union or the partnership comes into play. So there are already twins and divine counterparts who are already in union here in the world, and their role has been to be developing new templates in the ethers, these generic templates of connection, forging the way for the rest. And so looking at it from, we're looking at it from this individual level into partnership and union, and then into groups, and then for humanity, for the planet, for Gaia. So what is the general purpose of these connections and their influence on the world? Well, that there is this exponential energy created and coming together. And this is the bigger picture purpose of these highly evolved, incredible souls coming back into union to create a bigger exponential energy to tip the earth over into its new place, its new way of being. So these individuals, they come together, and as they come together in this physical union, Gaia showed me, they create this massive wave of energy. It's kilometers in diameter, and it affects beings in terms of tipping them into love, in terms of kind of transmuting what's in their field, by them just coming close to the edges of that. So there's nothing small about this. It's divinely orchestrated. It's coming into connection to demonstrate and lay in new and higher ways of being in partnership and relationship and union. And it's also shifting things. So it's shifting things out and bringing things in a whole host of ways. So shifting this idea of the ideal partnership in this 3D world, and that's based in the mind, that's in this old 3-dimensional way of being and relating in partnership. The list of qualities, the list of conditions, the attributes that you may want your partner to have. Well, these pairs are shifting these out to meet in a higher space of unconditional love. So there is this idea that we do that on an individual basis, and that upon meeting, we are catalyzed And we recognize one another on some level. So this might be soul level or heart level or energetic level, or a higher level of consciousness or a higher dimensional field. And then on this level, on this physical level, in this 3D place, it kind of raises a whole lot of questions about yourself, about others. You know, you might find yourself asking questions like, am I crazy? Am I delusional? Am I obsessive? And certainly all of those kind of experiences occur and get moved through. And then they bring up truths that you need to personally attend to, things that need to be healed as you come into your own wholeness and balance and alignment and preparation for coming into union. So as a pair, these pairs have come to undo and to dissolve structure, patterns, paradigms, and many different aspects of relationship, removing the toxic, poisonous connections, the setups that disable people, that destroy love, that create energetic loops between partners, overcoming conditions and programming, limited thinking and behaving, etc. So it's this kind of step through process in a way where that is done individually before coming into union with a particular template from a variety of angles and perspectives. So each pair might have this subtle kind of nuance to do with the template they are undoing, and then each of those pairs together undo a whole template, then coming into union to rebuild or build a new aspect of a new template. So it's releasing, undoing old programs individually, then in pairs, and then there will be this particular focus to undo individually before coming together, and then more undoing and clearing and clean up when you come together, and then together in your partnership you build that new and very specific to you template. So each pair, it's about, and I know that there's some overlap with these notes. Hopefully it helps you to cement in what you are doing and what your role might be. So each pair is about undoing the distorted aspects, undoing the bindings, the contracts. It's about the process of that one journey, the recognition, the healing, the individual growth, growing as you are releasing and then overcoming all of that to come into union. It's really this finessing into this higher aspect of self, this, we think that we're just kind of letting go of stuff, our own rubbish, our own healing and woundings, our family patterns and all the rest of it. And we do, but in these partnerships, it's done to this very high level of finesse and nuance. So these templates, they may relate to all sorts of aspects of difference in partnership, difference in marriage, difference in union in terms of race or religion and culture and age and gender and sexual orientation, or really any other permutation of connection. So one example of this might be all of the conditions and bindings around women and girls and how they have been used as trade or barter in coming together in partnerships. So speaking of things like dowries or child brides, even the tradition of the bride's father or family paying for a bigger share of the cost of the wedding than the groom's family. The older exchange of a cow for a bride, etc. All of those parts, you can see that they could trace back to many different places in our world, to many different geographies, cultures, religions, histories. And so it can be seen easily in that there are these many aspects and perspectives of cultures, countries, religions, and faith that link in here from this time, because it's still happening now in our world currently, right back through history. So each pair who finds themselves, playing with this, if you like, they'll be attending to the unthreading. It's one nuance or one perspective around this. So individually, there'll be circumstances and situations that twins are questioning or challenging in their families, when they are noticing that these things don't belong in our new world, and they're raising these questions, these discussions in their families, in their churches, in their communities. And so this raising of this can cause this change, transition, morphing, and that's what twins are here to do. So your particular template, if you've met your twin, it's likely to be obvious in the gap or in the duality of your connection. So what about karmic partners? Well, karmic partners, in the bigger picture of things, they come along to help resolve conflicts, to build skills, to help hone relationships, to bring in different aspects of communication, refinement, to complete karmic contracts, to bring in learnings, to be in the undoings. And really, if you are a twin, it would be empowering to you to see that they are here to help, to teach. They're not here to interfere. They are here to help each of you to be catalyzed, provoked, triggered to come into your own wholeness, into your own higher aspect of self. So I would encourage you to see those karmic partners as these beautiful beings who have come in along the way to make your work, your connection easier and more gentle. So what are twins doing when they do come into union? Well, these connections are undoing 2,000 years or more of infiltration, corruption, and inversion. And if you think about that, if you put it into that context, well, it's no wonder that it's taking so much time and energy, because it is these little tiny nodules, if you like, in the vast spectrum of relationship. So these partnerships are turning everything over. This vast reclamation they are making, this vast reclamation of higher love relationships, and then grounding this now into our new earth template. So although they may be breaking through these conditions and barriers in their own individual right, when they're twins, they have come through already with higher wisdom and learning around each of these relationships. The old 3D templates have come to undo them and lay in the new templates for this new earth, first individually with their own specific tasks and then together. So this is a love and love refinement of connection and partnership to a higher level than we've had here on the earth in this three-dimensional template of our earth ever. So that's why it can feel arduous, elongated, and stretched out. And these twins have come to lay in the new patterns and paradigms for this, to place these energies into the ethers and into the energies for humanity. Has there been intervention? Yeah, there has. There's been intervention from both the dark side and from the divine. The dark has intervened on a 3D level, particularly and mostly with the divine masculine. So Father God showed me that, said that there's been interference, especially for the divine masculine on a practical level from the dark. So in the past 18 months to 2 years, so you might want to add a year into that, because I started writing this article more than a year ago, as things came in from Gaia. So there was this, what was being called a Jezebel interference, where women were placed on the pathway of the divine masculine. And that's like a delay or a detour or a deterrent. And I want to tell you that that was shown to me as being totally separate to karmic connections. Also, Father God talked about in 2020 there being interference with the divine masculine's money or house or partnerships, jobs, sort of things were just thrown across their path that took them off into their three-dimensional world, so they couldn't really get into their internal work. So now there's also divine intervention to bring these into coming about. We know it's all about divine timing. We know we have to do our individual work, then the partners come together and do their work, but there's such refinement in it, and we really have to sink into grace and sink more into trust and into greater love and know that it is so. Yes, so this divine intervention for this, I've been shown that God had pairs of twins kind of stretched apart. So this has happened a few times. It's like stretched apart like an energetic rubber band to create this kind of bounce back to energetically pull them in again as things have got stretched a little bit too far. So I've seen that happen a few times. I have humorously seen Father God giving the divine masculine a hurry up with a kick up the backside and a prod with a smooth stick. And it's just important to recognize that as these connections come into union, they create and roll over this energetic field of love. It's massive, it's exponential, and it's for humanity and for the planet. And Gaia says it's the equivalent of 1 + 1 = 100. And so this is why there's been so much interference, because once these unions, more and more of these unions come into play, the whole world will topple into this greater dimensional space. So I think it's important to mention a few things about the chakras, what happens regarding the chakras. The divine feminine have in the main been working from the higher chakras, developing their intuitive skills and talents and their connection with higher dimensional frequencies, or refinding, remembering, reconnecting with these. And the masculine has been developing the connection to the physical world through the lower chakras. And for me, I see that there's this idea that there's this meeting of this in the solar plexus chakra, as though there's this kind of very special divine connection between the inner child of each. So the feminine has this magnetic pulse that emits from the heart. So I've seen that as this pulsating rings that come out from the heart and pulls on the masculine energy. So each of the masculine and the feminine and all of humanity has been through these various chakra clearings and activations. And so there are some recent activations for the masculine that have occurred in the area of the heart, the higher heart, and the throat connection. So they are now being able to express their feelings, and that's important for coming into these connections, is for them to not only know what their feelings are and feel them in their sensory body, explore them, be able to name them or speak them out to themselves first and then to others, but they've also been shown how this connects in to their higher purpose and mission. So this current energy that's around at the moment is helping everyone right across the planet to access and see their own truth of who they are, who is their correct and proper divine partner, and aspects of mission, both personal and twin. If you didn't know or didn't have an idea of it by now, then I just want you to know that they are these incredible beings who have been here as the most exquisite men leading the way. The divine masculine is leading the way for the collective. And when you meet your masculine in their divine form, you will notice that they stand in the strength of their masculinity whilst they sit so beautifully and softly in their incredible loving heart. And that's a little brief way of describing it. And they have held space for the feminine. They have held space for the feminine to rise up. And now the feminine is holding space for the masculine and pulling them up. So together they're merging the dimensional field. So each has had these complementary roles to play. They've been different to one another, and they've held space for the other so that there's more likelihood of success and connection. So the divine feminine, also many of the divine feminine have really had to show their level of commitment to mission, and in such a way that it's a little bit unwavering, that you would not be pulled away because of this connection, that you would stay on track in your divine mission. And so that would seem to be a prerequisite for some. Remember, each of you have your own work to do, your own healing, clear your own wounding, attend to your own family patterns to undo. And you need to come to a level of self-love on your own in preparation of coming together. So there's been many processes that each have been through individually as divine masculine, as divine feminine, and then we'll do that also in partnership. Be this in a love partnership, friendship, business, or other type or kind of relationship. So this, there's some general relationship connections that apply to everybody as well, which I'll just mention here. And this whole thing about coming into these higher aspects of self doesn't only apply to twins, but it is coming now into place for all higher relationships. And twins are just sort of setting the way, if you like, clearing the path. And so all relationships are going to come into this phase, which I call the process of becoming. So becoming the best version of you, healed, whole, authentic, complete, balanced, aligned, in connection. And then you become the most perfect partner for the most loving relationship of your life. So you attract who you are, not what you want. And this is exceptionally so in this divine connection. So you can't just kind of do a little bit of work on yourself and expect to haul it in. This is, this is like a triple masters. You've got to do it to that degree. So now I want to speak to you about really the entire kind of purpose of why I've gone through all of that. So Gaia, has shown me this template that's to do with union, that's to do with divine partnership, and it's a wagon wheel. So if you imagine a wagon wheel that has 12 spokes in it, so we've got this round wooden wheel with 12 spokes in it, and each of those spokes is representative of one pair, one union, one set of twins or divine counterparts. So she's shown me these in a number of ways. She's shown me this vision of these stacked wheels surrounded with this spiral energy like there is in the Ascension painting, or that she holds here in this painting of her in her temple in the center of the earth. That's the Ascension spiral. So she's showing it to me like this, these wheels stacked up, and they've got wings on the wheels, and they're being held in suspension by that spiral energy. And then when they all get filled, but there's some particular things about that. They come into vertical stacks and they lock in. So each wagon wheel has 12 spokes. Each spoke holds one pair, one set of twins or divine counterparts. So they're connected in somewhat of a sequential order. I know that the last pair in each wheel is fixed. The first may also be, but I haven't been shown that that's compulsory. The first or the bottom wheel, that has to be completed before the second. So in other words, there's this wheel with 12 spokes, that's 12 pairs, that's 24 beings that have come into this twin union, and that wheel will have a specific focus of what it is undoing, the template it's undoing, and the templates or the template related to that being rebuilt. So that first or the bottom one has to be completed when the last pair comes in, and they are definitely, although it's sequential, they are definitely they have that particular role. They come in and they lock it in. That's what I've been shown. Now, the second wheel has to be completed before the third, and the third before the fourth, and so on in this sequential nature. But it could be that beings can come into each of these wheels. Now, there's a stack of 12 of them, so a stack of 12 wheels with 12 pairs, and there are 12 sets of those. So it's likely that each wheel with its 12 pairs has a primary relationship focus to undo and redo from its variant positions and perspectives. And these get stacked in a sequence and locked in when all 12 wheels are complete. So each locks in and then stacks and locks, stacks and locks, stacks and locks. And then when there's 12 locked in, it all clicks into place, and they form this new toroidal field which holds the patterning template of this new higher level relationship. So there'll be these polarities, these big gaps between each twin pair, as individually they undo the conditions, the roles, the expectations concerning their individual perspective and issue, connected to likely a specific template for each wheel, and each pair then addressing the dissolution of one particular aspect of that template, the deconstruction and dissolving of one aspect or the karma of that. So Gaia says that there's this year of 2022, it's the strong year for unions to come into the physical. She said that the month of February was a good month for a physical touching base communication or connection. She says that August is a good month for unions, and that she is wanting to have this process of unions being completed by the end of October 2022. For the Earth to move through the 1111 gateway on the 11th of November 2022. Now, look, I'm aware, you're probably aware as well, is that we can get caught up with being tied into time. So I'm just passing on to you, that is the information that she gave me. Since then, I have to say we've dropped into a lot more working with time in a sequential nature, but that's a pretty good guideline. The other aspect of this that I want to just briefly mention at this time is that there's this, in our world, there's this speeding up of energy. So it's faster in it's higher in its frequency, it's more expanded in its capacity, and it's going a lot faster, this acceleration. And we're really into this kind of exponential acceleration of that. And so what I'm showing is that it could look to you as though nothing is happening, but all of these things might be going on behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden that something shows up. Now, this isn't just to do with twins and counterparts coming together. This is in a whole lot of ways. So hold space for that. The idea is to hold it there, hold it lightly, in a way without expectation, but in the knowing that it is coming, and you'll sink more and more deeply as you go through this process, this relationship journey. You'll more and more sink into the knowing of it, into the trust of it, even though you may not see any evidence in the physical. So a couple of more components here. Do all twins come together? Gaia says yes, they all do, although not all in this lifetime. Some will come together when we have shifted. So mostly, don't panic about this. She is saying that this, because, twins are not just the ones who are here. She's saying that mostly those twins where only one has incarnated at this time will come into connection in the next component, in the next part of time, in the next lifetime, in our next dimensional position. But those who have both incarnated at this time during this lifetime are likely to come together in union as per the guidelines and the expected outcome. So the kinds of parameters that I've spoken to you about during this video. She says that there will be a few who don't make union, but this number is minimal. She also says whereby free will applies on this earth, the work that twins have come to do will place energetic pressure on these unions to come together, because this is way bigger than just a love relationship. So this, excuse me, I need some water. This coming together, it creates and invokes a massive energetic wave that builds momentum and comes together or merges into a gigantic energetic wave that carries the Earth into higher frequency and dimensional space in the galaxy, the planet's true and rightful place. And then we move back into becoming a travel gateway destination for multidimensional travel and beings from the multiverse coming here to study as we once again become the living library we were designed to be. And so this is the role that twins play at this time in the evolution of our Earth. It holds a special place to be having this exponential expansion of unconditional love. And although this is a big mission, it's not making or creating something small, but it's likely to happen on many levels. This dissolution of the templates and the rebuilding of them, both individually, in pairs, and collectively. So life in paradise awaits you. And those twins who are here now were chosen because they had a high probability of success in coming together. So that's what I have for you from Gaia. It may inspire you to look more carefully at your role here and what your template may be. And I wish you so much love from my heart and from the heart of Gaia as you navigate this exceptionally challenging and difficult journey that is so exquisitely filled with the most amazing and divine love. Bye. So I am going to have a look now at the questions. I was trying to deal with a couple of screens there. So let me go back here. Can your twin flame be your higher self? No, but your higher self is an aspect of you, and you are an aspect of your twin flame, but it won't show up like that. It will show up as an aspect of, which is why it's easy to connect through that part of your energetic vessel. if you go to a higher dimension, rather than, I suppose it holds truth if you go to a higher dimension than this one, because it's of the same energy. So I guess that is true in a higher dimensional space. Yeah, so I think that's all. It is really exciting, and as you know, in my work, I want to tell you that I have had these absolutely exquisite men who are so in their divine masculine energy. It's just a pleasure to sit with them. They are already in this space of being so beautiful in their hearts and so clear about wanting to do bigger things here in the world. And the way in which they speak to me about their partners is held so beautifully and wonderful as well. So yes, I think, you know, this is not my kind of area of expertise. This whole thing about twin flames, but Gaia has definitely been bringing me through more and more of this. So do feel free to share it, because I don't know of and have not seen this information about this relationship templating undoing anywhere else. So I'm sure it will be very useful to everyone. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day. And, you know, we are so close to this tipping over as well into our next dimensional space. All right, much love.